Now, the Electoral Commission is set to announce a new date for the compilation of a new voters' register. This follows President Akufo-Addo's imposition of a ban on public gatherings and other activities to curb the spread of the coronavirus outbreak. Now, here's the statement that was issued by the Electoral Commission making this announcement. It says the Electoral Commission has noted with concern information in sections of the media to the effect that the compilation of the new voters register has been cancelled due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus in the country. The Commission wishes to state that the compilation of the new voters register has not been cancelled. Plans are far advanced for the successful takeoff of the registration process. In view of the ban imposed on public gatherings by His Excellency President Akufo-Addo, a new date for the registration will be announced in due course. The Commission wishes to assure the general public that it is taking the necessary steps to guarantee the safety of the citizenry and safeguard them from the virus. In this regard, the Electoral Commission will put in place concrete measures, including providing sanitizers at all polling stations and providing a conducive atmosphere at all registration centers so as to protect its stakeholders from the virus, among others. The public is entreated to prepare for the upcoming voters registration exercise. So election 2020, they say, towards free, fair, transparent, credible and peaceful elections in Ghana. So that's the statement that was issued by the Electoral Commission announcing the postponement of the exercise, but does not give any dates. Joining us on the phone on the back of this and more really is the Member of Parliament for South Dai, Roxing Dafiamakpo, who has issues with the Electoral Commission's push to make the Ghana card and passport the only acceptable identification for the new voters registration exercise. Mr. Dafiamakpo, good morning and thank you for your time. First, any observations on this statement issued by the Electoral Commission? No timelines given in this new release.
Yes, thank you very much and good morning to your viewers. Mamavi, it's worrying to read this sort of statement from the Electoral Commission. One, it's a matter of record that the Electoral Commission does not provide registration centers. It is the communities that provide registration centers for the Electoral Commission to register people. So the only thing they do is that when the centers are provided, and because the centers are supposed to be electronically sensitive, that is to have network, the community scout places where it's available. The commission comes to set up. Now, the they bring to set up are their machines. So if the Electoral Commission now says that they will provide conducive atmosphere, I am struggling to understand what they mean by that. Because from the practical experiences that we have had with the Electoral Commission as stakeholders, they do not provide the environment. They provide the spaces and the environment. That's number one. Number two, the Electoral Commission is failing to tell us when they will open the new date for the registration. And the directive by the executive directive in respect of avoiding small social gathering is in force for the next 4. And I know that there will be a review. And the review could be an extension of another 4 weeks or for 2 weeks. So as the statement of the Electoral Commission, things are in a limbo. But she refuses to accept that things are in a limbo.
Well, but that's something that has this pandemic. We all didn't see it coming. So isn't it impossible for them to put a date to this exercise now, considering what's happening?
It is the more reason why they should call it off.
Are you suggesting then that, the 2020 elections does not come off?
Why wouldn't the election come off? Isn't the Electoral Commission capable of conducting a limited registration exercise at a later date, say in August or in September, like they did last year towards the election of the district assembly elections in December 17th last year? because they conducted a limited registration in September of last year and registered 1.2 million and issued them with EC voter ID cards.
Well, this is different from the direction that the Electoral Commission itself has set for itself. I mean, it's compiling a new register. That's not a subject for debates any longer.
You know that we have said the compilation of the register from the work group, and the arrangement appears to be running into natural circumstances. So is it not an opportune time for the Electoral Commission to call it off? In any case, when they indicated clearly that they will be having recourse to the minister. Anyway,
isn't that call, just before we move on to the issue of the registration itself, isn't that call a bit too early? Because I mean, this virus could go even before the next month.
Mama V, why is it an early call? When indeed the virus, the level of infection is rather going up and not going down. And the more it goes up in the countries that we have studied, the more the rate of infection increases, the more drastic the measures are. So is it not natural to conclude that they better call it off and fall in line with the national arrangement?
Is this something that legally, as a member of the Legal and Constitutional Affairs Committee of Parliament, you're going to push? And let's box that with your disagreement with the mode of registration in terms of using the national identification to register when this finally happens.
We legally we cannot determine how the Electoral Commission performs the functions of its office. The Supreme Court has made that very clear. But given circumstances, they can be directed out to how to conduct its affairs so that the public health is not poisoned by the activity. And what we are saying is that given the circumstances, the insistence, the intransigent position to continue with the process has the danger of further poisoning the public health of the Commonwealth of the people. So it's a matter that we'll consider in due course.
So let's quickly touch on the ongoing registration. Hello, Mr. Dafamapo, if you can hear me.
Yes, you said something about ongoing registration.
No. So you disagree with the cards that you are required to use in the registration exercise, correct? With a form of identification.
Yes, now let's deal with the matter of the proposed CI. Now, on Monday, they came to lay the CI in Parliament, and it's been referred to the appropriate committee, which is the Committee on Subsidiary Legislation. Now, it is a one-line amendment that is proposing in the new CI, and that is the regulation 1 of 1091 is requesting that be amended to read that the primary source of documents for identification for purposes of registration in the new window that's going to open will be the passport and the national ID card. And if you do not have any of these, then a registered voter would have been issued with a new voter's ID card who guarantees for a maximum of 10%. These are the amendments questions for. And we find it appalling and unacceptable.
What's your difficulty with that? You also say it infringes Article 42.
Exactly. Article 42 of the Constitution is the right to vote. Now, where one has the right to vote, it means you have the right to register if you turn 18 as a Ghanaian and you have sound mind. And implied is the right to vote that you have to be on the voters register and be issued with a certain form of identification, which is the voter's ID card. Now, the Electoral Commission, as recently as September last year, registered 1.2 million Ghanaians who turned 18 or who had not registered before in any general election, and issued them with 1.2 million voters' ID cards, which most of them used to cast their votes in the December 17th district level election. So how can you be saying that just 3 months down the line, you are rendering those cards ineligible in a national exercise of this nature? It is an unconscionable decision to make, and it has no basis in law that a card that was valid last year will suddenly not be valid in the new year. So and he has not provided any legal basis.
So what's your proposal? They include the fact that if you have an...
Our proposal is that you must take it back to include a birth certificate, because a birth certificate is the primary identification document to procuring the passport. And Mamazi, I can assure you that there are more foreigners who are capable of procuring our Ghanaian passports than it is possible for them to get registered as a voter in Ghana. So she must include birth certificate as well as the existing voters' ID card before we can have any discussion at all on this matter.
Okay, how far do you intend taking this?
Otherwise, the committee is yet to meet, and we shall reject the new proposal in total.
Reject in what ways? You can disagree.
That no, we cannot. We have the right. The procedure is that when she lays the instrument before Parliament, if as a committee we do not have any consent, then we recommend to plenary for it to pass. And so when the 21 days is up, it is gazetted and it becomes a constitutional instrument of effect. But where the committee has consent and the commission refuses to listen to the consent of the committee has the power to reject the instrument as brought.
So is this a concern that the rest of the committee members share? Because we know there's majority and minority on that committee.
It is a concern that the majority of the members of the committee share.
Okay.
And let me add that this is the committee that is chaired by the minority.
Great. All right. So we should see the committee reject this as a whole.
Yes, indeed.
Okay. All right. We thank you for your time this morning. That's a member of the Legal Constitutional Affairs Committee of Parliament, also member of Parliament for South Dai, joining us with his concerns. First, with the release from the Electoral Commission yesterday that says the compilation exercise will go ahead, and then also with the amendments that's before Parliament now in terms of the cards, the identification cards that you would need finally when we have to go and register for the election. Chairman of the Magdan Group, Daniel Macaulay, has revealed he is one of many business people whose businesses have been affected by the coronavirus pandemic. He has therefore started a process in search of local producers of hand sanitizers as he pledges to support persons who are selected to produce for the market. You may know that since the announcement of cases in Ghana, there have been mad rush for the products while prices have been increased astronomically. Mr. Macaulay has been speaking to my colleague Maxwell Agbagba on the subject.
They haven't gone through Food and Drug Board. They haven't gone through standard boards and all that. And I really find that as a real problem. So where we stand now, they can produce whatever quantity they can produce is very, very important for this country at this particular moment. So what we are doing is to try to support them. Okay. Yeah, we can't support all of them, but a few who we find serious, they will have our support, definitely.
So how many people are we looking at supporting at the end of the day?
Well, I can't tell now, but it depends on the ingredients you have. We are looking at local-based ingredients. Okay. Yes, and when we're looking at akpatashi, very soon alcohol importation will soon stop. So we're looking at local alcohol to produce sanitizers and other other ingredients. So that is what we are doing right now.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And I want to find out from you, was your motivation to do this born out of the fact that people are inflating the cost of hand sanitizers, and some shops have actually run out of hand sanitizers? What really was the motivation to do this?
You know, we stand of finding solutions. That's what McDan stands for. And as an entrepreneur, what supposed to be your motivation? An entrepreneur need to find solution to problem. So right now we are finding local problems to solve global solution. You see, you can find, or let me send you another local solution for global problems.
Okay.
I mean, we can support companies to produce sanitizers locally, local products to export to other countries. So that is what we are doing currently. We are finding solution to a bigger problem.
Just to find out, do we know how much the people who will be getting the support, who will be taking all your boxes, how much support to be receiving from the McDan Group?
Well, it depends. We can't tell now, but we're telling it to whatever proposal business you bring. And I find that very, very interesting. Those who had come, some are coming with aloe vera, some are coming with ginger base, some are coming with akpatashi base, some are coming with mint. Interestingly. So we're looking at how to get the right ingredients. We have a chemist around here who has a very recognized laboratory factory that will support the formulations that they bring.
Okay.
It's a well-renowned chemist, and he's going to support them. We know McDan will stand for compliance, and we cannot do this without having a well-renowned chemist to support this program.
We'll be speaking to him shortly, but before I let you go, you also, in your business is quite affected by the this global, pandemic. Are you willing to share with us the extent to which your businesses are affected by this?
Yeah, I'm badly hit. I mean, I operate from 2,500 ports worldwide. And all the ports are closed now. As I'm talking to you, I have cargo in Houston, Texas, India, China. I cannot move. I'm around private charter planes, and I can't move. The port is more or less shut down, right? I have containers all over. I can't move. If you look around, you can see that most of my trucks are parked. I have 250 trucks. I cannot move. As I'm talking to you, just a fraction of them are on the road. My terminal is more or less standstill. So I'm badly hit. So if I'm out here today trying to support this cause, it's a worthy cause of supporting. No, we have to support Mother Ghana, and we cannot sit in isolation without being part of the real problem.
Thank you very much, Dr. Daniel Macaulay, for speaking.
Well, akpatashi, a locally brewed alcoholic beverage, has become a go-to for people who cannot get the recommended hand sanitizers. Reported shortage of hand sanitizer on the market compels some people to use akpatashi undiluted, while others use it as homemade sanitizer formulations. Love FM's Paulina Bwediwa Mensa visited Professor Godfrey Dakon of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology Chemistry Department to find out more.
Considering our busy lifestyles, hand washing is not always a feasible option. This has led to a number of us resorting to the use of hand sanitizers, especially in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. There has been a reported shortage of hand sanitizers on the market as a result. Can we then use akpatashi and other alcoholic beverages as a good alternative? Well, let's find out. How does alcohol work to stop the spread of viruses and bacteria? It is effective in killing different types of germs, including both viruses and bacteria, because it unfolds and deactivates their proteins. This can be likened to removing braids with the inactive proteins as the individual hair strands. The process, known as denaturation, will cripple and often kill the germ because its proteins will unfold and stick.
Alcohol affects the lives of all organisms. When it's more than 60% in concentration alcohol, it should be able to kill bacteria, it should be able to destroy viruses. But then if the concentration is also lower than 60%, it could somehow work, but then it could only slow down the growth, the multiplication of the viruses, but it will not kill it completely.
Some Ghanaians are thinking of using apetashi as hand sanitizer or inside their hand sanitizer preparations. What would you say about that?
Apetashi as a component in hand sanitizers, I'm not very sure, because in apetashi preparation you will get about 40–45% alcohol, which cannot on its own kill the viruses, the bacteria. So if anything, if somebody was going to use apetashi, I would advise that they take this apetashi to the lab, double distill it so that the concentration will go a little bit high. Normally in the labs, if you are preparing hand sanitizers, you start with absolute alcohol, about 95% alcohol, and then all the time you work your ratio such that you will get about 70% of alcohol in your hand sanitizer.
Let's say I have my hand sanitizer. How do I know that it has enough alcohol to be effective as a layperson, because I can't measure the concentration? What do I do?
If you pour this into your hand, like few drops, you should see it spread. And then if you smear it, quickly everything is gone. That is pure alcohol.
There are other claims for the use of alcoholic bitters. In addition to alcohol, they contain herbs. Anecdotally, these herbs are said to kill germs. Professor Darko explained that the constituents of these bitters are not known.
The agent we are using is the alcohol. We do not know of the base that they have added, the plant, whatever it is. Mind you, this is a new virus whose lifestyle is not properly known. So you wouldn't know whether the substance you have in the bitters is actually killing the viruses, destroying it, or it's actually enhancing it. Sometimes also in most of these bitters that I've seen several pieces of debris in there. Those things could actually act as substrates for growth of some microorganisms.
Will market women heed government's call to not take advantage of the situation to needlessly hike the price of hand sanitizers? Well, since we've been guided now, we probably try and make ours at home. Let's remember though that the first point of action is to wash our hands thoroughly under running water for at least 20 seconds. This is Paulina Bwediwa-Mensah reporting for JoyNews.
Regional Health Directorate has selected 3 health facilities in the region as holding centers for COVID-19 suspected cases. This follows the confirmation of cases in the country last week. The Nkwanta Government Hospital at Nkwanta, Mary Theresa Hospital at Papase in Kejebi, and Warawara Government Hospital are the assigned facilities. But how resourced and ready are these health facilities? Correspondent Peter Seno has more.
The Rara Government Hospital is one of 3 holding centers in the Oti region. The rest 2 are the Mary Theresa Hospital at Papasi in the Kejebi district and Nkwanta Government Hospital in the Nkwanta South municipality. Clients were screened before being admitted to the OPD when JoyNews visited the facility. There was also public education ongoing. This was equally extended to the taxi drivers who work just outside the hospital. Officials take us through the facility to establish their preparedness.
So This is a ward we have designated to manage or quarantine our clients. So as per the condition, if there should be a need for oxygen, we have a standby supplemental oxygen, we have excess, we have a ventilator, we have a suction machine should there be a need for us to suction the client. So this is where we take care of the clients. So the team will dress in the full PPE apparel. They will enter and take care of the client here. So this entrance is for only the staff who will be managing the client. When they enter, they don't return through the same gate. We have another exit route that they will pass through and go and dress down, where there will be full disinfection of the equipment that we have used.
We are entering our sluice room. The plan is to have a demarcation in here. So the staff is supposed to pass through this side, enter the room, do the door opening, that's the removal of the PPEs at this side. The staff performs hand hygiene at this side. Then it's being sprayed, and then from the demarcation, the staff moves to this side and then passes here to the changes room.
The Regional Director of Health, Dr. Emmanuel Jochi, has been speaking to JoyNews on the preparedness of the region.
Since the outbreak started, we have been putting in measures to ensure that we are prepared to early detect, isolate, and contain any coronavirus disease that may occur in the OT region. So, practically, we received alerts from a national level. We had several meetings at the national level with the Director General of Ghana Health Service, the Minister of Health. As far as OT region is concerned, we have circulated to every health facility in the OT region what we call the case definitions for coronavirus disease. This will enable health facilities detect early and then isolate any suspected case. Before every patient enters the health facility, they apply the case definition, asking simple questions: fever, cough, sneezing, and history of travel. And then they also use the non-contact thermometer to take temperature. Those who do not fit the case definition, those are the ones that are allowed to go through the routine access to the health facilities. So far, OT region have not detected any case.
Meanwhile, the Menuso border in the Kejibi district has received some screening items on Monday. Peter Senu for JoyNews.
Well, over the last 2 years, JoyNews has reported on how communities in the Bongo and Kasena Nankana West districts of the Upper East region were constructing household latrines to help combat open defecation, following the advocacy work of WaterAid Ghana in those areas. Now, the impact of climate change is threatening the sustainability of those latrines, as many have collapsed following torrential rains, which led to floods that killed 28 at least persons and left thousands displaced in the Upper East region last year. Here's correspondent Albert Sori's report.
Two years ago, Rosina Nsobila and members of her household were using this household latrine they built themselves. Today, she is standing near a pile of the rubble from what used to be their household latrine.
It was during the rainy season time. Because of the rain, rains heavily. I woke up one day and it's like there was some crack mark all over. So I was having in mind that no matter what, it by almost collapsed. So one day it was in the afternoon around 12 to 1 when one guy was to enter there. So I hear some sound and I asked him to go here, not to enter there. If not that, maybe it may collapse on him. So when he just moved, no, the thing just came down.
This is the Asaloko community in the Bongo district, one of several communities now declared open defecation free following the work of WaterAid Ghana. The residents had mobilized and built their own household latrines in response to the eye-opening water, sanitation and hygiene, or WASH for Public Health project implemented by WaterAid Ghana.
It was WaterAid people who came to our community to talk about hygiene, how to handle ourselves and all those things. So it was through them that we get to know that doing open defecation is no good. Firstly, we always go anyhow where you can hide yourself and free yourself. But from then they came and taught us about how going to toilet openly is no good. How the flies will go and sit in it and come and touch our food and we eat. That's why we go ahead to construct the latrines.
Torrential rains and accompanying floods in the Upper East region last year collapsed many homes, killing at least 28 people. The latrines, built by the people of Asaloko and other communities here in the Bongo and Kasna Nankana West districts, were not spared.
Because when you feel like going to toilet and in the daytime you get to our neighbor house to do, if you get there and somebody is there, you have to wait.
Other homes lost their latrines to the floods, including the families of Awene Agoni and Azore Inyaba, who were just looking through the debris of their collapsed latrines at the time of our visits.
Last year, the rains were too much. That's why the latrine collapsed. It was a mud structure I was using together with my family, but the floods forced it to crumble. And now I have to try to construct it all over again. We used our latrine for 3 years before the flood swept it down last year. The pit is still intact, so I have to raise the walls again, but it comes at a cost. So I'm thinking about what to do.
The latrines were built from the meager resources of the community members, who are mostly peasant farmers. WaterAid Ghana and its partners, the Center for Indigenous Knowledge and Organizational Development and the Widows and Orphans Movement, spent several months advocating in the communities on the dangers of open defecation and the need for clean and hygienic surroundings. Latrine artisans were trained in the communities. Their job to help households put up their own latrines.
In the field, we do stakeholder engagement. We work with the local government authorities, specifically Bongo District Assembly and Kasna Nankana West District Assembly. So we hold engagements on all levels, at the district assembly level, at the community level, and meet all stakeholders, including traditional authorities. We talk to them about the projects, the outcome, what we have to do, and the role they have to play.
The women were involved in the latrine construction, with female latrine artisans also trained. Soon, the communities embraced the need for a change, and latrines sprang up in almost every household, from Akania to Nakong Saboro in the Kasna Nankana West District to Asaloko and Aberingabisi in the Bongo District, and several other communities. The time invested and resources spent to do all of this is quite high, although difficult to quantify. Here is WaterAid Country Director, Dr. Abdul Nashiru Mohammed, speaking to journalists after a tour of WaterAid projects in Bongo 2 years ago.
And we have spent a minimum of 1.6 million Ghana cedis. And in terms of the software, which is training of our healthcare personnel, training health clubs within the schools, training community groups and so on, we've spent a minimum of 400,000 and our staff. So in total, we're looking at a minimum of 2 million Ghana cedis that we have invested so far.
But now, because of the impacts of climate change, some of these poor families have to rebuild their latrines all over again.
We need help because if it were to be cement block, I don't think it would have collapsed. But because we use the same mud to do it, that made it to collapse. And if you get cement to mold blocks and rebuild it, I think it will last longer.
In the meantime, Rosina, Awene, Azore and their families have to use their neighbors' latrines whenever the need arises. The district chief executive for Bongo, Peter Ayembesa, says the work done by WaterAid in the district is enormous.
I think that nationally we should embrace WaterAid because if we look at water and sanitation issues, our country has been engulfed with sanitation and its related challenges. If we allow WaterAid to operate, give them the necessary support to operate in our country, I believe that Objective 6 of the Sustainable Development Goals would be achieved because their model of operandum is different. They want to deal head on. They want to deal with the community. All that they want from us is the leadership, to provide the leadership and to provide them with the courage and support, and they will do the rest for us.
A total of 174 latrines collapsed out of 432 latrines constructed in the two districts. Fortunately, the provision of mechanized water systems by WaterAid in the communities has saved the people from any major water pollution that last year's floods could have caused. Nonetheless, the destruction of the latrines by last year's floods may well be a signal for resilient water, sanitation and hygiene services to be included in climate change adaptation plans in the future. Albert Sori, JoyNews, Bongo.
And I am Mama Vioso Abwaji. You're watching JoyNews Desk. Still ahead, we'll bring you some sports. But first, the Association of Oil Marketing Companies says aviation fuel has been badly hit as airlines begin to cancel flights. We've got details in business shortly.
Hi, good morning. Welcome to Business. My name is Darrell Kwao. The Association of Oil Marketing Companies says aviation fuel has been badly hit as airlines begin to cancel flights. Here's CEO of the association, Kwekwej Mendria.
In our industry, really going to suffer, apart from the hospitality industry, which normally consumes fuel a lot with the tourists coming here. The other side of it is the aviation fuel that we supply. It's going to go drastically down. We know these aircrafts, about 40 to 45% of their cost is on aviation fuel. Now, if you are coming to Ghana with a capacity side of 300 passengers and you are coming with 80 or less or canceling your flights, what it means is that they cannot refuel in Ghana. And that becomes a concern to us. Because over the past year, aviation fuel has been going up. In fact, it was gradually becoming a hub for refueling. It used to be Senegal. They would beat them to it. Nigeria came in, they couldn't stand. So this West Africa area, Kotoka has been a refuel point. And now if you're going to have this issue, it's going to really affect us. We hope it doesn't really go on for a long haul. If it's a short-term fine, we can deal with it. It goes a long haul. It means all the investment we have made in aviation, it's huge investment we made in aviation fuel. See the depots we have there, it's all going to go to naught. Because the domestic travels is not that much. We don't pick that much for domestic. But normally the international flights, we tend to consume a lot of aviation fuel. So it will be a great concern to us.
The coronavirus destabilizing pretty much everything. I'm sure you hear about some of it in sports coming up after this break.